Hey, known. Ah, 3 days in a row. Oh my god. You know, I had a bit of an epiphany after wrapping up yesterday's stream. I was like, all the things I did in Needy Streamer Overdose that kind of led to the sort of bad end of the game. I'm like, oh shit. I need to I need to check myself for a minute. This is I was like, okay, so I tried a whole bunch of different things, broke continuity on what I was exactly trying to stream, and and just eventually went off the deep end to the point where I couldn't recover. So yeah, no, it was a little too close to home. I'm not gonna lie. I did have a moment, like I had actually a very long moment after playing that game, and I was just kind of like, huh, maybe maybe I need to be a bit careful about that. Maybe I need to slow my roll here. I'm not trying to get 1 million subscribers within a month. So I don't know what I'm like doing. Take it easy, drop down that stress and mental darkness meter, you know? The game is it looks very silly and sugar pop on the surface, but I think there is a lot to that game that is a little too true to life. I was actually describing it to a friend this morning, and it was kind of like if you've ever seen the musical Chicago, I think one of the main themes and what makes it such a genius musical is the is how the audience gets so caught up in the showmanship and like the pizzazz of the whole situation that in the end they forget that they're rooting for characters who essentially just got away with murder. And not everyone recognizes this by the end of the musical. So it's it's a funny thing. It's it's a funny thing about self-awareness. So I'm like, okay, maybe not just hop into some other game immediately. Let's dial it back. Let's go back to familiar ground. Get back into the old habit, right? So that's where we are right now. I'm thinking I'm going to spend a bit of time, do some requests, chill out a bit. And so, what do we put out into the world today to start off the episode? Admittedly, not much happens over the weekend, so it's hard for me to really think much about discussions I've had or things worth sort of bringing up. No, I appreciate that, known. Is that the boy, jmoonies? Darn tootin'. I don't know if I qualify. Do any of us qualify as boys at this point? It's been 7 years. People are still asking me about Marvel videos. I'm like, dude, it's been 7 years. I know people hung on to Marvel 2 for a very long time, but Jesus. But how's it going, darn tootin'? How is your weekend? Hopefully COVID free. Hopefully low on stress. Let's see, what do we discuss with the world at large here? God, no, I know there's a modding community there. I don't know that I can step back into it, man. I'm so old. And I was saying that I was saying that back when I was making videos too. People don't believe me, but like you just lose the reaction time after a while. It's an unfortunate outcome, but I think half the reason why I was able to do semi-decently in that game was because of the lag. But yeah, I don't know. It's, I mean, it's fun to play. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't see the value in Marvel. It's just funny to me that people keep asking me about it because I'm like, I was never good. Like I was never good at the game to begin with. Like the whole premise of my channel was that I was actually bad at fighting games. And so it sort of blows my mind that people, still come back. I've seen a few comments on my YouTube uploads and they're like, "Where's the Marvel videos?" And I'm like, "Why aren't you watching someone who's good at the game?" Yeah, so it's a funny thing to come back to after all this time for sure. Every once in a while someone will recognize me playing online games and be like, "Are you that guy who made Marvel videos?" And I'm like, "Jesus, we're playing Overwatch, man. Come on." They're like, "Yeah, I miss your Hulk videos." I'm like, "No, we've moved past that. I'm not making Hulk videos anymore." Please. I mean, seriously though, like I mean, if my fame is based around being bad, I'm one of the few people who've kind of managed to capitalize that, I suppose. If they really liked me about my personality, they wouldn't keep asking about Hulk, Iron Man, and Nova. Is all I'm saying. I just want to spread positivity, play the occasional off-color game. Yeah, I did. I mean, the editing was fun, and I'm a little sad that I lost my Adobe Premiere license. So I'm not really able to do that very easily anymore. I don't know, the subscription model for editing software is a little ridiculous. But jmoonies, you don't have an identity outside of your Marvel team. It's so ingrained, it's the only team you even choose. Yeah, I mean... Oh god. Those licenses are like a whole nother cable, a whole extra internet subscription. It ain't cheap. But yeah. What to put out into the world? What do we think about? Because at the start of every stream, I want to have something out there to prove that, people really are playing this game and that we are responding to real people. Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe we just look at requests for now and we'll come up with something later. Oh, Dizzy. Dizzy Lil Sis. Welcome, first time viewer? I don't think you were around for the old times either. Well, if you're playing this right now, maybe we'll answer yours. But, don't write anything directly. We don't want to break the spirit of this game. We'll just go... Being asked to do something I did a long time ago? Maybe. Let me think about how to phrase that. But first off, send us sunny weather. Sorry, Sora. I don't have that kind of power, unfortunately. So first request of the day. Why is recovery from long-term abuse and CPTSD so hard? Uh, Anyone know what that stands for, chat? Every day I cry a bunch and I'm so angry at the people who did this to a child. I can't ever have children of my own now, and that's the lightest consequence. PTSD, but what's CPTSD? Childhood PTSD? Let's see. Complex. Chronic PTSD? Why is recovery from long-term abuse? Sometimes going through trauma, Capcom PTSD. That's believable. Complex PTSD, huh? Sometimes going through trauma and living with the aftermath of it isn't something that just gets better. I say this as someone with a history of child abuse of my own. At the risk of sounding like everyone else, have you considered seeking professional mental health services? I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but as someone who's done it before, it does help. If not for full recovery, at least with coping and reaching an equilibrium. Food for thought. See, it's tricky with stuff like this because, especially when they throw out such a... Oh! The follow alerts are working. Thank you, Dizzy Lil Sis. I want to say it's tricky with stuff like this because when you have so little information, it almost kind of sounds like they're kind of just dealing with it on their own, right? And, you know, obviously they're sort of posting this on a public forum like this. It's tough because there's still kind of a stigmatism against seeking medical or mental health services, whether it's through upbringing or old generational mentality, but I mean, it sucks, but sometimes this stuff just doesn't get better and you kind of have to come up with ways to sort of treat it. So, I mean, it sounds silly and it sounds shallow to sort of recommend this, but for the record, I personally have actually gone to mental health professionals and it does make a difference. The biggest part I would say is just making that decision yourself, right? Which is really the hardest. I personally had to hit rock bottom, but if anyone could avoid it, it's typically better if you don't do that first. But yeah. New music. Feel like I keep spiraling downward. I can't make any progress on my passions. I work 7 days a week and I give all my money to bills and rent. I can't rest, I can't enjoy myself, I just don't see the point. Can't change careers right now, I'll end up with nothing. Yep. No, that's also relatable. There's definitely a mania that comes with kind of feeling like all you can do is stay afloat, and that's sort of a tricky thing. Problem is, it sounds like this person doesn't have much leeway. I thankfully haven't had to experience that kind of stuff, but it sounds difficult to overcome it. I mean, known to be honest, it's funny, right? Because there are resources out there. The biggest hurdles for most people are financially based. Because A, if you don't have health insurance, it's almost kind of like a crapshoot to find any doctor. And B, finding a doctor that's actually covered in your health insurance, because not all health insurance will cover that sort of thing, which is kind of garbage and a bit, a systematic problem of the U.S. healthcare service, at least. I don't know how it is in other countries. But then you've also got the stigma of feeling like, oh, if I have to go see a shrink, I must be a failure somehow as a human being, which, it's unfortunate, but that's sort of the idea a lot of us kind of grew up believing. Work 7 days a week, and I give all my money to bills and rent. I don't see the point. I can't change careers right now. Yeah, no, and I don't want to get too political about it, but, you listen to the right people and you kind of see the trends going on about that. Let's see. It sounds like you're working hard without... It sounds like you're working hard, but you don't have a support backup if things I don't want to say go south. You don't have a support backup to rely on if the equilibrium shifts. Just dropping by a quick say. No, thanks for saying hi, Sora. I know my stream schedule is a little odd and sporadic, so I appreciate you just coming by and saying hello all the same. Let's see. If you don't have family, it's a little galling, but But are you in a position where you could possibly live at home while working or get a roommate? Sometimes if the burden is that great, it helps to sort of divvy that out. Even if it means living in a undesirable home situation temporarily. Although I wonder, it's also tricky because it implies maybe their passion isn't their work either, right? But if they don't have time for anything but work, that definitely that's difficult. Because I think I felt that like for a good portion of last year where I was just working. I didn't have much else going on. I mean, obviously with COVID, there's not much else I could have been doing, but it's a rough thing to kind of wake up and go to sleep every day just thinking all of it is to go to work. So, At least with some financial leeway, you could carve out time for yourself. Hey, Sad. Welcome back. I was just telling Known earlier in the stream that overbearing streamer overdose was a little too real, and I felt like I had to take a step back and play something a little more my speed afterwards. I think I ran the risk of getting a little too caught up in this gamified streamer milestone game. Could carve out some time for yourself. Life that's only working. Yeah. It's not healthy if the only thing you can do is work. Sounds like it got too meta. No, I mean it definitely did. It's sneaky. It's a very sneaky game in that it sort of fools you with like, you know, the art style and the memes and the sort of colorful look of it. But it very much is a realistic kind of analogy for life if you're looking for it. If you're not very cognizant, you could overlook it. Give him a lemonade. Tell him to relax. All right, what we got? What we got next? I just hate my life. I went to a therapist since 1 year and it didn't. Oh God, spelling. I need to not be judgmental about this, but it gets on my nerves sometimes. I went to a therapist for 1 year and it didn't help. I always thought I could trust friends. I still get hurt. And I just turned some days ago 18. I meet sexual abuse. And I want to get rid of that. Jesus. 18 is so young too. I mean, they're officially an adult now, but it almost sounds like they're being obligated to see this therapist almost. I get the feeling you aren't seeing this therapist by choice. Yeah, man. Sad. Good on you for going to the gym and keeping it going. I ate pizza today and I feel horrible about it. Oh, sad. The game is made by someone completely different. It's not the Doki Doki Literature Club. I think it actually might be a Japanese developer, but it's smart. It's a very smart game. I'll just put it that way. Maybe a little too true to life. That it could almost make you a bit uncomfortable. Especially if you're involved in this space. So if they're 18, they're probably still in school. I'm willing to bet it's a therapist their parents are making them see. Have you spoken to your parents or the therapist in question about this? Perhaps you might be able to switch to a different... Hey, Jonathan! The rapper name? Oh God. You don't know how many times I've heard the jmoonies thing. Funny enough, the Moonies thing started off because a coworker of mine regularly call me that, and I just took it. But prior to that, I think there was a cult that went by the moniker of Moonies. And they might have been a suicide cult if I remember right. But that was a long, long time ago. Perhaps you might be able to switch to a different doctor if you spoke up about it. Sometimes it just doesn't work with one, and you kind of have to try on other people. I always thought I could trust friends. I still get hurt. I just turned 18. So sexual abuse victim doesn't have friends. You kind of have to try on other people. The tough part is there isn't really an easy way to address this other part of their issue. Because we don't have any context. We don't really. Because, you know, the obvious easy question is, are you seeing a therapist? Clearly this person is. In regards to your issue with friends, if you're not making them at school, you'll just have to find them elsewhere. Let's see. Volunteer communities are a good place to start. If not, hobby organizations. Yeah, it's a funny thing because especially with a forum like this, you're sort of limited on how much help you can give a person, but also how heavy the problems you have you can put out there. Because you can only do so much, right? A person can only respond so much to an issue. I feel bad for getting mad and yelling at my older, also crazy oh god, this is a 0 punctuation situation. I feel bad for getting mad and yelling at my older, also crazy sister today. But she deserves it. She deserved it, and so much more than I said. She's always saying, trust me, but she's insane and has no respect for personal space or ideas, and it bothers me a lot. Oh, you know, the first impression I have when I read something like this is you might want to evaluate whether you're the crazy one. But that's not really constructive either. But there's something kind of telling about this, right? It's sort of like he feels bad, but he also doesn't. Like Older, also crazy sister. I think this guy's definitely young, that's for sure. They want to be in the right or justified. I mean, they're admitting to a certain amount of guilt, but there's something they can't really get around when it comes to talking to their sibling. And I think that's what's sort of eating them about it. Let's see. I get the sense that you are maybe young and you have a hard time rationalizing your relationship with your sister. Crazy sister, that's the norm if my sister... I mean, I think anyone who has like a significantly older sister, and I'm gonna throw out a bit of a gender kind of generalization, but I think most boys feel that their older sisters are kind of out there, to put it politely. Let's see. You have a hard time rationalizing your relationship with your sister. Clearly you feel bad about something, but... No, it's okay. You don't have to feel bad about that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, and I always kind of try to apply this logic personally, but your family are just people that live with you or that have always lived with you. So it's not like the rules of human social interaction should be that different. The main difference between, family and other people is that you're kind of obligated to live with your family no matter what, at least up to a certain age. And in a way that makes family a lot worse in the grand scheme of things. If your relationship isn't good, you're practically trapped with them. But clearly you feel bad about it. I should also not put clear twice in the same sentence. Clearly you feel bad about it, but... Clearly you feel bad about it. But it doesn't seem like something you can discuss with her that easily. Do you have a large age gap? If so, this kind of relationship isn't all that unusual. It is tough because it's not like I have an answer either. I don't think I have siblings, but they're like over a decade older than me. Ooh. Yikes. Yeah, sorry to hear that, sad. It's I mean, that's a funny thing, right? Like, our parents will kind of push us to like, oh, we're family, all this, but like, depending on your steal it back sober. Depending on like your situation, it's like family sort of becomes a free pass in a weird way, and once again, I don't want to offend people, but it sort of comes back to the religious perspective of like, oh, Jesus will forgive you, right? And so it's like, oh, your family, you have to forgive them. Personally, I don't subscribe to that philosophy, but you know, very, very close family ties will inspire people to think that way, and it's unfortunate because family can be really toxic. Let's see. Try to write out your feelings in a way that a stranger would interpret. Try to write out your feelings in a way that a stranger would interpret. Would be able to glean the most sense out of. If you can be logical about it, then that may get through. Stupid. No space for punctuation. 4 years ago. Yeah, I got a bit of that take at the time. The religious Yeah, I mean, a common thing, right? If you're raised religious, it's sort of a conditioning that's hard to break. Let's see. You can have a balloon. All right. What's next here? I really feel as if most of my friends are excluding me and that they are leaving me behind on conversations. Or maybe I'm unconsciously excluding myself from them. I feel like this one's actually not too hard, I think. I think a few streams back I explained the concept of the silent treatment. And I get the feeling this might be something like this. R. Have you ever heard of the silent treatment? When you try to act like someone doesn't exist when you're mad at them. The irony of that game is that nobody ever notices when they're getting the silent treatment. And the person doing it puts on this whole act for nothing. If you're finding yourself in situations where you think you might be excluding yourself, or looking to see if anyone notices, nobody will notice. At the end of the day, the best way to test is to involve yourself more actively. It takes a lot of nerve to ignore a directness. Something like that. And I think if you've ever been a teenager, you've probably gone through a loner sort of phase where you're like a little more quiet than you need to be. You're a bit standoffish and kind of revel in that. And at the end of the day, people won't really acknowledge you because, you know, you're just being you. You clearly want that because that's the way you're acting. So it's a good thing to sort of distinguish between that, right? Are my friends really ignoring me, or am I just acting in a way that makes them think, oh, well, they're not really that interested in being involved? That second line of their requests strongly gives me that vibe. But yeah, in terms of appropriate stickers, let's go with this very lonely looking space person. Flashback to high school. Seriously, man. I mean, it's kind of what a lot of these are. Not to say that that's a bad thing, because I think it's important to not forget the person you were and sort of lose that perspective, right? Like, the one thing I don't ever want to be as an adult is someone who suddenly can't empathize with younger people, because that's just, it's tragic, you know? It's like, you were this person once. How do you forget what it's like to be this person? And it's almost like you've lived fewer years as a result. I'm so sad. I normally sleep through the day. Why aren't these people using punctuation? Please. I was woken up and did yard work, and then I eventually got mad at my... Oh, this is the same guy. Okay, we're gonna ignore this one, because this is a two-parter, and we've already addressed the previous one. But she deserved to hear much. It's not another crazy sister, it's the same guy and the same crazy sister. Please consider... How would I put... That dang darn sister. Please consider wording your situation in a way a stranger can interpret. Cussing out your relatives isn't really useful. Isn't really useful on this platform, and I think you'll find that there won't be many people willing to respond kindly to it. He doesn't deserve 2 stickers. Alright, what's next? What's next? I feel like the things I always want to do most always end up at the end of my to-do list. Like, anxiety builds up and then I don't have the ability to do them. Alright, well this is a more subtle one at least. Let's see. Feel the things I always want to do always end up on the back of my to-do list. No, and I already sent him a sticker. Technically, it's the same thing. Yeah, relatable minus the anxiety. I think it's a little different from procrastination. I think I get the feeling it is, especially if anxiety is involved, it feels like a fear of failure, possibly. Do you perhaps have a fear of failing? Normally, this would just sound like procrastination, but since there's anxiety involved, I get the feeling a fear must be coming from some part of this equation. I guess the thing you have to ask yourself is what's the worst that'll come out of failure? It sounds like these things you want to do aren't time sensitive. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to push them back. Food for thought. I feel like this is something that can be resolved with some introspection. Something like that. What do we give them? What do we give them? I definitely overuse certain stickers. Let's give them oatmeal. Help with the digestion. Oh, I've been upheld as an A to B student my entire life, and I'm really struggling with physics class. My mother is worried about this being my first C and refuses to let me have free time even if I'm not understanding what I am studying. Oh no, H, you're an Asian student, aren't you? Oh man. At least they get to be an A to B student. When I got A minus, my mom yelled, and my school didn't even offer an A plus as an option. Jesus. Let's see. Mother's worried about this being my first C. Right? Like, I can imagine the conversation going on here right now. It's like, this person's mom is like, you can't have a C, that's going to mess up your GPA, and that's going to affect your college applications. Like, this shit's real. Oh, let's see, how do we... Because the problem is that they don't understand the material, so it's not something they'll be able to reason with their parents about. Let's see. H. One misstep will ruin your future for... No kidding, right? And then you end up going to college and getting a communications degree. Save money at community college. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a common thing with immigrant families, and I'm wondering if they're actually catching on at this point. Probably not, but still, it's just... Let's see. .9 GP. Yeah, Pilgrim. I mean, that's what it was like for a lot of my classmates, actually. I went to a school with a lot of Asians. And it was very like, it's not uncommon to sort of have that mental breakdown over it. And it's so minor, right? 7 years later, more than 7 years later, you look back on it and it's so insignificant. But telling this person that won't help the situation, unfortunately, because there's no real way to kind of convince their mother of that. So we got to give them tips for how to study. Let's see. As an Asian American, I understand the situation you're in. It's kind of a rock and a hard place because your parents will constantly talk about how minor things will affect your college applications, and no real there's no convincing them to go easy on you. When I studied physics, I found it easier to understand when I could apply real life situations to it. It is pretty math heavy. So if you struggle with that part, see if your teacher can help you on the side. Actually, aren't there a lot of YouTubers who are kind of big on this nowadays? I feel like the internet's still kind of an undertapped resource when it comes to education. What you could learn off YouTube. Yeah, that's true. I mean, next thing you know, this poor student's going to get pulled into the Flat Earth Society. Let's see, do we have any math-related stickers? Probably a robot, I guess. Add revenue by traffic. No, no, that's what we learned from Needy Streamer Overdose, right? We just ended up having to make awful types of content for the sake of viewership. Let's see, I'm moving out soon. What are the important things I should buy? The place was semi-furnished. There's already a bed, table, chairs, and fridge. Man, remember your first apartment? Mine was a crap studio without air conditioning. It got really hot in the summer and really cold in the winter. There was a furnace that I had to keep a pilot light burning on. Let's see. Kind of want to get that game though. I'll probably wait. You know, no, I don't know that I'll finish that game very quickly. I mean, play it if you want to play it. Just, You know, just don't spoil it, obviously, when I get around to it again. Tell him to buy a new mattress. Yeah, that's crazy, right? Yeah, that's actually really good advice. I was gonna say get a good router because, like, we do live in an internet age and you can't underestimate the value of that shit. Let's see. You might want to invest in a mattress if the place is already furnished. You don't know who used or how the previous bed had been used after all. I think this is an appropriate an appropriate response to put an emoji in. Also worth considering, since internet is such a big deal these days. Do some research on a good wireless router. It doesn't seem like a big deal at first, but when you don't have good cell reception, or you're needing to work from home, it's a lifesaver. Good luck. They don't need that stuff. The means to the means to cook for yourself and sustain yourself and, you know, do things a normal adult needs to do on a daily basis? Nah. They'll just Uber Eats. It's fine. I don't know what this thing is, but I'll send it to them because I don't have anything else appropriate to send. You could actually get by surprisingly well without those appliances. I think I spent a couple years without a stove. I mean, you could always get a hot plate in the end, so it's not like you don't have ways around it. I haven't been able to make friends in my program. I'm on good terms with everyone, but with everything being online and me being introverted, it's really hard to have anything closer than classmates. I still have friends outside of it, so that's still good. No, and it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that you're an old person. I still forget to Google things whenever, you know, an unknown subject comes up, and I stupidly say to people, "What's that?" And then I'm like, oh, I have a cell phone. I could look this up right now. Let's see. It doesn't sound like this person's in a bad situation. I think it's just, I think this person is dealing with what everyone else is dealing, right? Asking is faster sometimes. That is true. I haven't been able to make friends in my program. Is that like a non-American college term? Kind of like how they refer to it as university? I'm on good terms with everyone, but with everyone being like... Sad, you don't make friends playing fighting games. What are you talking about? Don't you remember when I first launched my channel, it was all about rage quitters? Don't bring up fighting games. We've all been down that path. Let's see. Sounds like you're not in that bad a situation, really. I think it's hard for anyone to really build a proper sense of relationships with people when you only interact with them online. Especially when it comes to class. That said, if there's a forum where you could host something, like inviting people to play games or just having a chat room, you might be able to build community that way. I know things are challenging given the current circumstances, so I feel for you. Yeah, that's a bit of a crazy thing, right? Like, I think back in college, you would just go to a dorm, you'd have your door open, and then you'd just play Smash Bros or something, and then people would just come by, play Smash Bros with you, and then you kind of made friends that way. If it's just online... Yeah, no, sad, I get it, I get it. If you meet a person in real life playing fighting games, they don't have the guts to be an asshole to you like they would online, though. That's the difference, right? If you're playing online random matchmaking, everyone's gonna be a friggin' asshole. But it takes some real guts to be an asshole to a person when you're right there next to them. But yeah, I think it's almost like they probably need... Dude, sad. I can imagine your high-pitched laughter too. You're the kind of guy who like has the Kefka laugh while he's stomping on noobs. But yeah, I almost feel like this is the kind of situation, especially when it's online only, that you almost kind of need to set up a Discord or something. But you need like an official backing for it. If you don't play this style on them, are you really playing a fighting game? I mean, it's true. This is why I say I don't know that fighting games are really an avenue for friend making at the end of the day. At least raw fighting games. You all joined my community because I was bad and you just wanted to see me get better. That's a little different. Let's see. I feel like I didn't fully learn how to be a person. That I won't ever fully realize what that means and will just continue to be a disappointment. I don't really see a way forward and I'm always so exhausted. Relatable, but I wonder. I think that's how most of us feel when we enter adulthood. There's a lot our upbringings don't teach us. And by the time we're out there on our own, we're just ready to make all kinds of mistakes all over the place. Won't ever fully realize. I will say this, before COVID, going to events was a quick way to get friends. Also your community when you hosted lobbies. Oh yeah, Mr. Bubs. That's right. Damn, you met Mr. Bubs, huh? No, that's the thing. That's what I always kind of looked back at when I thought about, the old days, right? Because I'd run the lobby, You know, we'd play games. You'd play with me, but you guys would also play with each other, and I thought that was really cool at the end of the day. And it like it's what I'd like to be able to somehow recreate at some point. I don't know if I will be able to again, but like there's something to be said about community building. Cuz it isn't just, you know, oh damn, you no kidding, known. I didn't know that. See, that's cool. That's cool to actually hear about, you know, after all this time is that like you guys still made friends with the other viewers in chat. And that's super cool. Like that makes me happy to hear. We're all ranked 10. Damn. Lifelong, huh? He was the Junpei player I could never beat. Nah, you're fine, Pilgrim. It's not like don't see it as like a comparative thing. Like it's just oh. So he was that person. I was wondering about that. No, Pilgrim, I mean, it's not like a comparative thing. You're not messing up if you didn't do the same thing. It's about opportunities, right? It's about we have this community. People come into the chat, they talk to each other. You know, we all kind of find that we jive off similar jokes, and then, you know, you make friends when you find your friends. Yeah, I had the feeling Lifelong was he seemed like a young guy at the time. I mean, at this point he probably graduated college, I'm sure, but like it's funny to think about. It's funny to think that Lifelong was probably a high schooler back then. Just, you know, joining in on our fighting game lobbies, and now he's probably an adult. But yeah, like you guys kind of hung out with each other, and like that's super cool. Like I'm really glad you guys did that. Let's see. It's unfortunate to say, but the only way to get closer to that ideal of a person is to keep making those mistakes and learning from them. We could have gone to Evo. Well, you know, even if it weren't for COVID, I think the sexual predator issue would have also gotten in the way of COVID as well, or would have gotten in the way of Evo as well. I mean, it's under new management now, so hopefully it'll be good, right? I saw the articles on like SRK, and you know, I saw a lot of people shitting on like Pokimane for kind of being involved in that, but like the fighting game community has also always suffered from this issue of self-segregating like pride, where they're like, we don't trust anyone except strong people. They're very tribal and like cavemanish that way. If you're not a good fighting game player, you don't mean jack shit. And meanwhile, meanwhile the FGC is like on the brink of destitute. They're like running, they're getting canceled for like sexual harassment and child sex abuse and like all this other shit. And like, I'm like, you guys need to fucking realize that like, you need to fucking grow up. Maybe people will actually take you seriously if you stop being little shits like this. So, I'm all for it. Pokimane, or at least Pokimane's organization taking hold of it. She's smart, and she's dealt with like a whole shit ton in terms of the streaming scene, so it would be neat. I'm curious to see how that plays out. Just played Yu-Gi-Oh with him today. Oh man. Oh, dude, darn. You're Dudeboom? Dude. God, why can't you guys just keep the moniker straight, man? I have to talk to you all like I think I know you, but I'm not really sure because you just go by a different pseudonym. It's like it's like those moments at parties where you're like, hey man, how's it going? Yeah, no, it's good to see you, but you don't fucking know their name. You just have this vague sense of familiarity. I'm like, dude, why didn't you just say you were Dudeboom this whole time, man? Now I feel like an asshole. What the hell have you been doing this whole time? Shit. God damn it. I'm getting baited by my own chat now. Let's see. No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't think any of us knew he was Dudeboom until he just said it. I'm like, why are you jumping in here? Jumping in here like we're all supposed to know who you are. And we're all acting like it because you're acting like we should all know who you are. God damn. Oh, God. But I'm glad to see you're back here, too. We're getting the band back together. Get revenge for me, known. I'm still waiting to see if, like, Big Pun will show back up. Or even Bars. Although Bars is he's a busy professional man now. I don't know if he's still working at Capcom, but I do tweet at him every once in a while whenever we see that Persona 4 patch news. Maybe we'll run into him. We'll run into him on Steam, who knows. But the only way to get closer to that ideal of a person is to keep making those mistakes and learning from them. It took me until I was about in my mid-30s to feel right about it all. But I'm a slow learner, so I hope you pick it up faster. Bars is also on a different time zone right now. No, that's true. I mean, he's still kind of active on Twitter because every once in a while I see the sad tweet from him about Persona 4 Arena. I actually played Overwatch with him a little bit, and the dude is super friendly sounding and happy. Like you wouldn't think that based on how he tweets, but like he's very excitable and seems like a super nice guy, so I thought it was really funny. Oh, hello. This guy. This is the guy with the crazy sister who we responded to and was like, you kind of need to clarify yourself, bro. And he did. Dude. We are making change in real time here. This is crazy. Although he still has to work on his spelling and his punctuation. Thank you for your kink responses about the problem with my sister. She is older. She's in her late 30s and I'm 18. She treats me like a dumbass and like shit. So cussing her out is pretty much doing, oh god, treats me like a dumbass and shit. So me cussing her out is doing that. Okay, I'm just gonna assume that means we're doing that pretty much every day. And I'm getting sick of it. Okay. Okay, that's a little better. Damn, that's an age gap, dude. Like, whew. I thought 10 and 13 years old was like a pretty big leap for me and my siblings, but well, actually, no, this is a 12-year gap. Yeah. All right. So a 12-year gap, huh? I've gone through something similar too. It's tough because you two are at such different stages of your life that it's hard for either of you to be sympathetic to one another. Late 30s? Did he say late 30s? Late 30s. Hmm. I mean, what's a little distressing is that he's 18 and he types like this. It's sad to say, but you might have an easier time of things just staying out of each other's way until you get older. I want to complain, but I also abbreviate words as often as I can. I mean, abbreviations aren't a problem. It's just like, God, just the spelling and the lack of punctuation, and it's like, I can see he's probably not a good communicator. Yeah, sad. I mean, I kind of get that, but it's also like, I think, I think we've watched enough shows on TV or movies where the characters are in that situation, and at some point the kid gets uppity and is like, "You're not my dad." that never seems to that never seems to play out well as the problem. I don't think she's taking care like I get it because my older siblings had very little patience for me because of how young I was. And like if I had to deal with that kind of age gap, I probably wouldn't have the patience myself. So it's not a crazy thing, but I also don't think it's something that can be worked out very directly, I should say. I get the sense that you're maybe not old enough to be able to express yourself very well. And she, as an older person, doesn't have patience for it. Hmm. Maybe not throw age into it, because 18 is pretty old. I get the sense that you're maybe not able to express yourself. Doesn't have the patience for it. If you want to get through to her, try writing it out. Try writing it out, but in a way you do for school. Let's go with that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if he talks like this, right? Then I'm not surprised. Like, it's harsh. It's very harsh. But it doesn't shock me that the sister thinks he's a dumbass if he talks like this. And unfortunately, that's kind of how you present yourself does affect that sort of thing. Especially to family members, right? Who also hold each other up to higher standards, even if, you know, there's a lot of weird give and take when it comes to family members. You're either you have to forgive them, but you also get to be super judgmental on them. Oh god, we got a poet. All right. Dreamless, aimless, unmotivated. These words describe me pretty well. I'm forced to continue studying online, now in my second semester. My social contacts are limited to 2 people, and I'm losing sight of the meaningfulness of my existence. I don't know what to do. Apathy. Apathy was the main premise of Persona 3, if I remember right, where everyone's kind of on the edge of nihilism. Let's see. Social contacts, and I'm losing sight of the meaningfulness of existence. Q. It sounds like you're experiencing burnout. I feel for you since COVID pretty much has forced you to P3. Yeah. I'm starting to wonder, Sad, maybe the reason they aren't re-releasing that game on Steam is because you're literally shooting yourself in the head with a gun, right? Like, I feel like that's gotta be problematic to a certain degree. At least in 2022. Now, if they can do an amusing, like, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Kids WB edit where the characters just point finger guns at their heads instead, they might be able to re-release it. But it might just be too edgy to come back into the public eye, unfortunately. Yeah, no, I mean, Call of Duty, here's the thing. America's funny, right? You're allowed to shoot guns at other people. They want you to join the military after all. You're just not allowed to shoot guns at yourself. It's a very specific American standard. Japan can be loosey-goosey with it because, they have actual gun laws that prevent people from having guns in the first place, but it's that sort of thing, I imagine. Has pretty much forced you into a life of just studying and nothing else. Is the arena thing a retcon? Or is that mentioned in P3? It is mentioned in the story mode. I didn't play the original Persona 4 Arena on stream, so we never really got to address this part. But when the P3 characters go into the TV, they instinctively call their personas and mention, oh, I don't need my evoker for this. However, Akihiko's full screen Mazios, or was it Mazionga? I think it was Mazio. Mazio Super does involve him pulling out the evoker and shooting himself in the head. So it's still there. I think they just took it out mainly for animation purposes. But yeah, it's a little more friendly because the gun doesn't really come out, right? Let's see. Just studying and nothing else. Losing sight of, I don't know what to do. It sounds a little lame, but you probably need a hobby, or at least something to look forward to doing on your downtime. If you could somehow join an online community and get your socializations there, even better. Though I know that's a trickier option. I know Mitsuru said they don't need it, but is a reflex. But if it's only in the TV, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the thing is, they were kind of able to summon their personas without it. It's just that the guns made it easier for them. Did Mitsuru? I don't think Mitsuru's insta-kill used it. And Akihiko's insta-kill wasn't it just a punch? I thought it was just a really strong punch. Maybe not. It's been a while. But yeah, that's the TV world. I'm sure the metaverse, they'd have similar circumstances. I don't know. They haven't tied all three continuities together yet, but it would be neat to see how they would. Well, no, actually they did. They had Persona Q2, which I didn't play because it was on the DS. Just hang tight. I think you'll get your bearings again when you're able to see people. Character limit. See people in real life. Yeah, right? Comes out in March. We'll revisit it then. Yeah, you know, I tried to play Persona 2 and Persona 1. I was kind of like, it's a little too... There's a reason why there aren't that many callbacks to those games in the current releases. Featherman at most. Let's see, let's put this lonely looking blob boy in there. All right, what else we got? What else we for fuck's sake. Yeah, that's right. There isn't You can only get as much as you give. But I want to respond to it because otherwise it'll just keep popping up in the list. At the rawest form. It's okay to be sad. But don't give up. I hate giving out cheap answers, but cheap questions can only give you cheap answers. I'll give you a Yeti. Everyone tells me to get therapy or go to a trusted adult, but most fail to realize that they were that trusted person, and I feel like I have nobody now. Because I am young, I cannot go pay for therapy, and I have nobody to go to. Sounds like this person was a previous submitter, but didn't like the answers they were getting. So younger person. So what's troublesome about this is that if the trusted adults this person went to told them to find a trusted adult, that means they don't want the responsibility. Whether they feel they can't handle it or whether they don't actually want it. I mean, it sounds like, regardless of what his problem is, the immediate problem right now is that he just doesn't have anyone to go to. Or that he doesn't have guidance. Let's see. A. If you are young, you're probably still in school, right? Your school should have schools typically have counselors. Am I spelling this right? I know there are two different types of counselors. Schools typically have counselors to talk down students with problems when necessary. If not, maybe a teacher you respect more than most. Let's see. Counselor? Yeah, that's... The C is the one that's like political, right? Like the Star Wars counselors. Maybe. Maybe I'm overthinking it. One of those words that makes me think it's not a word. One of those words that, if spelled in all caps, makes you wonder if you're spelling the word properly, too. If you're young, you're probably still in school. Schools typically have counselors to talk down students with problems when necessary. Not maybe a teacher you respect more. I'm not sure what your area is like, but youth centers and volunteer programs sometimes facilitate guidance as well. I believe the Big Brother program is one of those. I think I recall a case like this previously where they wanted to see a therapist, but their parents wouldn't let them see a therapist or wouldn't take it seriously. I mean, what's kind of scary too is I'm thinking, like, in the worst case scenario, he could go to church. But I'm wondering if it's ethically sound to recommend that to someone who's without concern for religion, right? Typically, I wouldn't recommend this, but if you feel like you have no one, maybe you could consider church. A church pastor. Yeah, I mean, we have to go off what we're given, so I mean, it's not an easy thing to recommend, and especially with kids, it's like, God, I don't know if I want to send them down that road, you know? But if you feel like you got no one to go to, I mean, you got to do something, right? LD, what's LDR? Long distance relationship? I start to develop feelings for the guy I'm talking to, but the girl from another country is coming to meet him next week. He said he likes me and he doesn't know if he will like the girl. Still, I feel like I can't compete and I should walk away. 6? Uh... I think the situation is a little too vague to comprehend. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't... Start for a guy I'm talking to, but a girlfriend to meet him next week. So the problem is... Okay, I think I get it. I think I get it now. So the idea is that she's talking to someone long distance, but the dude's talking to another girl long distance. But she's not available to just fly over willy-nilly like that. I mean, that's kind of a reasonable take. So it seems like she just wants to say it just to say it. I don't know that there's really any input to give to this situation. I know I'm not one to take initiative, but between COVID, the lack of opportunities in game design, and the skill to take hold of those chances, I now feel like I can't. And seeing my sister live her while my parents argue just this bad feeling feels worse than envy. Hmm. So it's like this person's unhappy with their lack of, yeah, this person's unhappy with their lack of personal success and is envious of their sisters. But why are the parents arguing? Maybe just an unhappy home situation. Alright. Analysis paralysis, maybe? Okay. It sounds like you're hung up on your own lack of personal success. If you feel like you're unable to work in your desired field, then work in a different field in the meantime. At least to get some forward momentum going in your life. I suspect you're probably feeling bad because you think your life is going stagnant. In that case, I recommend moving in any direction if necessary. As long as you're doing something. Let's see. You can't be failing if you're still trying. Even if it isn't something you originally planned to do. Let's go with that. I think I'm willing to bet someone who came out of school relatively recently, and like most people kind of going into the workforce their first time, hung up on the idea that they're not seeing success in what they set out to do. My dog's goldfish killed itself yesterday. We were watching Bob's Burgers when it all went awry. YOLO IG. Is this something new the kids say? What's does anyone know what YOLO Instagram? What is this? Like, I'm pretty sure this is not a serious request, but You know, I mean, I know YOLO. I just don't know what like. What's the IG thing? I don't know what that means. I don't think this is really a request. It sounds like they're just saying some dumb shit, right? YOLO, yeah, yeah. No, that doesn't mean anything. Not a request. Really a request, and it's not really sensible. It kind of just pollutes the list on this system. Thank you for being kind and narking. Hi everyone, I'm a heavy overthinker and I hate it. I get the reassurance I need from my love, but sometimes it's hard to believe his words. Any advice to cope with overthinking? Alright, well this one's actually not too bad because they're not in a horrible place and it's always nice to get a good break once in a while. Let's see. Sounds like you might be the type who constantly simulates unlikely scenarios and plans how to counteract them. In your head. I bet it keeps you up at night as well. How do you tell someone not to overthink things? I suffered from that for a long time myself. It's hard to say how exactly I got over it, but I think there's a certain freedom in building self-confidence and just knowing that you can handle these situations. And not feeling like you have to be prepared in order to handle these situations. How to make someone more confident, though, that's the question. Part of me's thinking, like, you just need to go through some shit, and then, you know, the rest of the stuff becomes trivial and old, but that's not exactly a thing you can just tell someone either. In building up enough self-confidence and not feeling like you have to be prepared in order to handle these situations. If you can safely make more bad decisions in life you can safely make more mistakes in life, I think you'll find if you can safely make more mistakes in life, I think you'll find the worry becomes irrelevant. You'll find that worry is unnecessary if you can learn how to pivot. Something like that. Get a chill mug of coffee or tea, maybe. Oh God. Again with the spelling. People. This isn't even an app on the phone. How can you all be such bad typists on keyboard? Reminded of an anime called Psychopaths. In a stress-free environment, people aren't used to stress, so a little bit breaks them. No, it's true. It's basically a life experience issue, right? Because I think people who, I mean, it's a very uncharitable way to describe it, but people who fuck up a lot, they don't worry about this shit. They don't have nearly as many concerns as, like, you know, the people who are always, you know, sticking to the rules and are like good little children in school, right? Like, if anything, the good kids are always the ones who are more worried than the ones who get into trouble. Let's see. Let's make this LG here. I think we've been at it for a good 2 hours. I'm stressed out beyond all be life about my future. I am going to graduate high school soon. I still don't know what I want to do with my life. My passion is game design, but I don't think there is enough stability in the market to major in it. Huh. Huh. That's an interesting take. Because they're they're talking about the business aspect about things. They're not talking about, like, the other concerns that people tend to have about careers. Well, let's see. I'm going to graduate high school soon. I still don't know what I want to do with my life. Passion is game design. The cheat is to major in computer science with... Kind of. I mean, that's the thing, right? It depends on what you want to actually do. And the funny thing is, you don't actually have to be a programmer to be a game designer. The funny thing is... Yeah, I was gonna say sad. I would almost equate the idea of trying to be a game developer to being a streamer. It's something you set out to do not as your primary, right? You don't do that actor bullshit, drop everything, go to Hollywood and, you know, try to dedicate your whole life to it. It's something you do on the side. And if you're doing well, then you make that pivot. Let's see. Alright. If you're thinking about market stability, I think you're in the right headspace. That said, passion doesn't necessarily need to equate to career. Is if they know for sure their passion is game design or if it seems nice. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a fair question too. I think a lot of people think about making games and they don't realize how granular that kind of thing gets. That said, passion doesn't necessarily need to equate to career. You could always do game design as a hobby or a side project. I believe some unis have clubs for that. And you could try to join some game jams in the meantime to figure out if it's really for you. Pilgrim, I once had the thought. Back in college, I discovered G4 TV and was like, wow. Games industry is kind of cool. I'd like to be involved in that somehow. Right? And it doesn't necessarily mean making games. It means being involved in games. So you could be, game journalist, game reviewer, be part of those blogs, be a writer, be a marketer, all kinds of things you can do in games. I actually did make it, but it didn't work out. Which is why I'm like, hey man, try doing these things as a hobby, find out if it works. There's enough stability in the market for it. Let's see. Games is also a very broad field. It can be programming, but also writing or acting. Performance or any number of things. Maybe you can Let's see. Get some more real estate on this here. Maybe you can find a field that falls into a contributing part of the industry. A broader... Oh God! I need more text. I need more characters. Broader field that falls into the industry. Bam. There we go. Guidance for college kids. Gotta love it. Oh, what do we give them? Technically, this sticker is supposed to be the face of the game dev, so I think that might be appropriate here. All right. Oh God. I think we went the whole day without a romance issue. So I think it's good to stop here before, we get into that. So, feeling good about it. I think we've had a good, productive day. We gave out some pretty good takes. Felt very confident about it. Got reunited with Dudeboom, who... rebranded himself as Darn Tootin' and didn't tell us. But yeah, no, I'm definitely... Do we call it a dub? I think we do. Especially after all the frenzy and the mania of Needy Streamer Overdose. I think I definitely needed to take the step back and kind of be like, okay, we need to get back to chill vibes. We need to reset to 0. Look at why we're doing this, what we like about this, and like, you know, kind of just stick to it. Even if it doesn't get us to viewership, right? But yeah, we'll be going on this pace during the weekdays, maybe 1 or 2 streams before the next weekend, and then we'll shake things up again. Maybe Gunvolt. I'm leaning towards Gunvolt, but we'll see. Unless I get inspired to try something else. We could do Needy Streamer Overdose again, but I think that game comes with a certain amount of mental damage, so I have to think about it. But thank you guys for coming by to this chill kind words. I guess we call it a vodcast, right? Because it's not like I ever stop talking. Thank you, Dizzy Lil Sis, for following today. Thank you, Dudeboom, for reintroducing yourself to us. Healing from the Needy Streamer. Seriously. You get a little too deep into this stuff, and you start to question your own motives, so, you know. You can't underestimate games, man. You can't. But anyways, thanks guys for dropping by. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sundays. Be safe, make good decisions, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.